You know, for decades, we've all been told that recycling is the big answer to our plastic problem. But what if the real solution isn't about getting better at sorting our trash? What if it's about making a plastic that just disappears? Today, we're diving into the search for that silver bullet.
And let's be real, our planet is absolutely drowning in plastic. It's everywhere, from the deepest parts of the ocean to the highest mountains. We're surrounded by this stuff that was designed to last forever, even though we often use it for just a few minutes. It feels permanent, because in a lot of ways, it is.
And here's the really tough pill to swallow about our current strategy. For all the effort, all the blue bins, all the campaigns, less than 10% of all the plastic we've ever made has actually been recycled. Less than 10%. That tells you the system we have right now is just not working.
This total failure has really pushed scientists and engineers to ask a pretty radical question. What if we didn't have to depend on recycling at all? What if we could design plastic that, when we're done with it, literally just goes away?
So, this brings us to some seriously mind-blowing science. In labs all over the world, researchers are cooking up what you could basically call miraculous plastic eaters. And honestly, they could change absolutely everything.
Okay, so first up, check this out. Engineers at the University of Texas have created this enzyme variant called FAST-PETase. It loves to eat PET plastic, the stuff that makes up our water bottles and food containers. And get this, it can break it down in a matter of hours or days, not the hundreds of years it would normally take.
But here's what makes this enzyme a potential game changer. It creates a truly circular process. See, it doesn't just chew the plastic up. It breaks it all the way down into its original chemical building blocks. And those little blocks can then be put back together to make brand new, high-quality plastic. It's the ultimate closed loop.
And then there's this other incredible idea, creating a new kind of plastic that pretty much eats itself. Researchers are putting genetically engineered bacterial spores right into the plastic itself. The spores just hang out, totally dormant, until the plastic ends up in a compost pile. Then, they wake up and get to work, biodegrading over 90% of it in just a few months.
Okay, so while all that futuristic stuff is happening in the lab, there's another kind of solution that's already on our supermarket shelves, the so-called bioplastics. But what are they really, and are they actually helping?
Well, this is where it all gets super confusing. We see these words everywhere, right? Compostable, plant-based, biodegradable. They all sound great, they sound green, but they mean very, very different things, and it creates this landscape that's almost impossible for a normal person to navigate.
And this confusion for us as consumers, well, it papers over a much more complicated reality. Because behind these nice-looking green labels, there's often a hidden environmental price tag.
Okay, so to get this, we have to separate two words that everyone mixes up. First, bio-based. That just tells you where it came from. It's made from plants, like corn. But, and this is huge, that does not mean it will break down. Then you have biodegradable. That's a property. It means it can break down. But here's the twist. A plastic can be biodegradable even if it's made from fossil fuels. They are not the same thing at all.
And that word biodegradable, it's trickier than it sounds. For a material to actually break down, it needs a perfect storm of conditions. Exactly the right temperature, the right amount of moisture, the right microbes. If you don't have that perfect recipe, it's just going to sit there, pretty much like regular plastic.
Just look at how specific these conditions are. A plastic that's certified home compostable needs months at a pretty warm temperature. Something designed to break down in the ocean won't do a thing if it's buried in soil. So if you toss a compostable cup in the wrong place, like the ocean or a landfill, it's basically useless. It's just not the right environment.
And it's not just about the end of the story. The beginning of a bioplastic's life has its own serious problems. The raw materials, things like corn and sugarcane, are often grown in these massive single-crop fields, mostly in Asia. And that can lead to deforestation, it can ruin the soil, and it uses up land that we actually need to grow food for people.
And just think about the trip it takes. 14,000 kilometers. That's roughly how far a single bio-based plastic food tray travels from where the raw material is grown in a place like Thailand to being processed, manufactured, and finally ending up in your hands in Europe. That is a gigantic carbon footprint for an item you might use once. So all of this complexity, all this confusion, well, it creates the perfect opening for companies to mislead us. They can actually use our desire to do the right thing against us. And that's the greenwashing trap. So let's be super clear about what greenwashing is. It's a marketing strategy, plain and simple. It's all about creating a false impression of being eco-friendly to convince you to buy a product that really isn't as green as it looks.
And I'm sure you've seen these tricks. They use vague words like eco-friendly with absolutely no proof. They make the packaging all green and brown so it just feels natural. Or they'll shout about how a bottle is plant-based while totally ignoring the deforestation it caused.
And brands know this stuff works because when we're in the grocery store aisle, we make decisions in a snap. A report by the Rizzo Foundation pointed out that most shoppers take about 10 seconds to pick a product. So the packaging is designed to make a fast, emotional impression. And right now, green sells.
Okay, so if the miracle enzymes aren't quite ready for the big stage yet, and bioplastics are a total minefield of hidden problems and greenwashing, where does that actually leave us in this fight against plastic waste?
Well, it means we might need to stop looking so hard for a better way to throw things away and start focusing on not making waste to begin with. The waste hierarchy has always been clear about this. The most powerful things we can do are prevention and reuse.
And this goes way beyond just us remembering our reusable bags. We need big systemic change, and that comes from smart policy. We're talking about things like legally binding reuse targets for industries, getting rid of all that pointless extra packaging, and, this is a big one, making companies pay for the full cost of their products, including cleaning them up.
Because really, at the end of the day, just swapping one disposable material for another, whether it's bioplastic, paper, or glass, it doesn't fix the real problem. The problem is our throwaway culture. The real goal has to be building a better system, one that doesn't create waste in the first place.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. As we're all looking for that silver bullet to fix the plastic problem, are we even aiming at the right target? Is the real challenge to invent a better disposable product? Or is it to challenge the very idea that anything should be disposable at all?